Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in downtown Brevard, North Carolina. And I'm coming to you from my house today because it's Monday and it's my day off when I do a whole lot of things from my house to keep the shop going. So I took a week off last week. I put up a little video and I said, "What would you like to see?" We had some votes, and people who chose to vote said, "Another life lesson, please." So here's one I've been chewing on for a little bit about how everything is connected. So, my series of life lessons from knitting and crochet, things that apply on the microcosm to knitting and crochet, I think can really be a lesson for our lives. So, this week, everything's connected. Often, when I am teaching knitting and crochet, especially crochet, but both of them, there is this delicate balance that you have to learn between keeping the yarn in your hook so you can do the yarn overs and pull throughs and not pulling so tight that everything else, which is connected, makes it impossible to work it through and the stitches come out really tight. Sometimes you want tight stitches. That's a whole nother video probably, but figuring out the balance, figuring out if something is tight somewhere, if something's going wrong somewhere, could it be because you're pulling too tightly somewhere else? The metaphor in that, right? So let's take a look at what I'm talking about in terms of the reality of crochet, right? If I'm going to do a double crochet, yarn over, you guys are seeing it from the back side. I apologize, but we go in, we yarn over, we pull up a loop. Then we have these 3 loops and they are all connected. And if I go to do a yarn over here and I pull really tightly, if I pull on this, you can see it's going to pull everything else. It's going to pull everything else really tight on there. And if I loosen up this loop, let's see how well I can show this off. All of these are going to get looser. So if I go to do my yarn over and I have to do sets of 2 to finish this, and if I pull really tightly because I don't want it to fall out of the loop, out of the hook, and then I go to pull through and everything's stuck, I may just need to take a breath. I tell beginning crocheters, put it back on the workspace, wiggle it looser, and just hold enough tension here that we can gently pull it through. Yarn over. Just enough tension to keep it in the hook. Just enough tension to keep it in the hook and pull it through. Again, if I try to do it with too much tension, if I'm pulling too tightly, everything is tight and I can't pull it through. I need to loosen up. I need to relax. I need to just gently pull it through, not force it. That's another thing possibly connected. Everything is connected. So if you're feeling stress somewhere in your life, if you're trying to manage something over here, don't be surprised if things over here in your life are also feeling a little stressed out, wigging out a little bit. Don't be surprised if that over here affects what's happening over there. It is all connected. It is all inside of you. It is all connected. Believe me, I have examples of that throughout my life, especially recently. It's all connected. The same thing can happen. I had to find just an old project to do this with. Same thing can happen with your knitting. I mean, all of these loops here, all of these, the yarn goes from this loop to this loop to this loop. So if one is pulled tight or pulled too tightly, if you get a snag in here, it's going to make everything else tight. If a stitch is dropped, I'm just going to take this off. Not only does this stitch run through everything here, so one thing over here could be affecting something else over there. Not only is that the case, but it's connected this way too. So if one stitch runs away, it's possible that it can run down further. And all of this now needs to be fixed. but it's fixable. I can't do it on camera right now. I have videos about that. Just because this has run away and affected things down the road doesn't mean that everything is a hot mess and can't be fixed. Take your time, have patience, and things can be fixed. For me, the lesson of everything is connected. It connects to emotions. And for me, it touches on parts of your life. Trying not to compartmentalize parts of your life. Work life, home life, they're going to affect each other. It's hard to take work off when you come home. It's hard to take a break from work. Not saying that you should be working all the time. Oh gosh, no. But let them influence each other. Let the positive parts, especially if you can, influence each other. Try to take the joys from home to work with you. Try to let go of the stresses of work, both at work and at home. That's the harder one. That's the pulling too tight to keep the tension on your hook. That's the one that's really tough. But trying to block that out when you're at home without dealing with it, without finding the nuance of tension in your yarn, it doesn't mean it stops when you're at home. Realize if you're tense in a situation and it doesn't make sense, why would I be tense? Why would I be emotional? Why would I be yelling at someone? Could it be because something else is going on in your life and it's flowing over into this part of your life? And not judging that, not saying, well, I should have done better to keep my walls higher. Know that you got to work on everything. It's hard. Finding that delicate balance of tension in your hook on this point. I'm not talking about tension stress here. Finding the right balance of how to hold the yarn so it stays in the hook but doesn't yank everything else, that's a challenge. That's a challenge that sometimes you need help with, and that's okay too. The emotional side of it, I've been revisiting a lot of Brene Brown. I'll try to put her name in the comments, maybe some of her videos, because I do love what she has done as being a qualitative researcher, I think it is. And so she interviews people and she looks for data, she looks for commonality, she looks for themes that can really affect us. And one of the things, she had this TED Talk 10 years ago. One of the things that came up in this talk was when we get stressed with bad emotions, we try to numb them as a society. We try to numb them. We try to force them away. But in doing that, you can't numb just the bad emotions. It means you end up numbing the good ones too. Everything's connected. So rather than trying to numb and avoid, engage. Not to say you should become a raving, angry person all the time. But say, where is this coming from? How can I process this so I can keep the joy in my life? So I can keep the fellowship, the connections to people. That's really, we want to talk about connection. Everything's connected. Who are the people in your life that can help you? Sometimes what shuts us down is lack of connection. Everything's connected. And if we can find the good connections, that can help us when we hit the stressful times in our life. If we can seek out, why am I stressed at home? Is it because something's happening at work? Or vice versa? That can take us really far. Embrace your emotions. Embrace the connections you have to people. Acknowledge that different things happening in your life may be having an impact beyond that one circumstance. Things that happened in your childhood may be affecting you now. Everything's connected. Find the balance. Find just the right amount to hold on to your yarn so it can easily pass through and you can come to the joy. I always end my videos with, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. And part of that confidence and that joy is finding the connections, the good ones and the bad ones, and learning to navigate them with just the right amount of pull and push and love to keep you going. I'm sure there's a lot more I could say on that, but I think I'm going to leave it there for now. If there's anything in there that you want to hear more about or you'd like to have a discussion with me on, let me know. I would love to keep this going. I would love to hear any insights you have on things that crafting has taught you. I tend to focus on knit and crochet, but it could be anything, you know. Next week, I think we'll return to some more practical things, but I'm always keeping an eye out for the gems that crafting has taught me. And I am always learning to apply them to my life. It is not always working. It is always a work in progress, but you know, I hope you keep going with what you're doing. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I have to add these at the end of all my videos. Subscribe, hit the alert bell if you'd like. At least give it a thumbs up if you like this one. Comment on what you'd like to hear more about. Consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com. And keep going. Whether it's with crafting or something else, just keep going. You got this. May your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. I feel compelled to end with that. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. What's up? How's the day going for you? Yes, your moment of kitty zen, right? You liking my sweater? You may get more use out of it than I do. Hi.